क्या आप यूपीएससी 2025 की प्रिपरेशन करना चाहते हैं और चाहते हैं कि इस लंबी जर्नी को हैसल फ्री बना दिया जाए, जिसमें कि आपका जीएस पेपर, ऑप्शनल, सी सैट सभी को ड्यू टाइम मिले और साथ ही साथ इन सब की प्रिपरेशन भी बहुत अच्छे से हो। तो इन्हीं सभी बातों को ध्यान में रखते यूपीएससी फाउंडेशन कोर्स स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, जो कि सीटीआर मॉडल बेस्ड और साइंटिफिकली डिजाइन। इसमें हम आपके सितंबर 2023 से लेके फरवरी 2025 तक लंबे इस जर्नी में जीएस पेपर्स को धीरे धीरे कवर करेंगे, जिसमें आपकी क्लासेस मंडे से फ्राइडे तक ही होंगी। और इस मंडे से फ्राइडे तक की क्लास में आपको रिगरस क्लास के साथ साथ रिवीजन और प्रैक्टिस सेशंस भी कराए जाएंगे, जिसमें कि आपको डेली बेसिस पर एमसीक्यू और आंसर राइटिंग भी देखना पड़ेगा। सैटरडे आपकी प्रिपरेशन लीव है और संडे आपके लिए एक बड़ा सा टेस्ट वापस से होगा। तो ये पूरा वीक आपके लिए पावर पैक्ड होगा, लेकिन एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड। साथ ही साथ इसमें हम लोग जनवरी 2024 से लेके अप्रैल 2024 तक आपकी सीसैट की प्रिपरेशन भी कंप्लीट करा देंगे, और इसके बाद जून 2024 से लेके दिसंबर 2024 तक आपके ऑप्शनल की प्रिपरेशन भी करा दिया जाएगा, जिससे कि ना सिर्फ जीएस पेपर बल्कि सीसैट और ऑप्शनल भी हैसल फ्री मैनर में आप कवर कर सकें। इस पूरे फाउंडेशन प्रोग्राम में आपको डेली बेसिस पर आंसर राइटिंग, एमसीक्यू डिस्कशंस, ये सारी चीजें तो होती ही रहेंगी। रिवीजन का बहुत बड़ा कंपोनेंट रखा गया है कि डेली बेसिस पर हम रिवाइज भी कराएंगे। इसके साथ साथ मेंटोरशिप सपोर्ट हो, या फिर सब्जेक्ट के बाद एक सब्जेक्ट कंप्लीशन टेस्ट हो, बाद में कुछ मेजर फुल लेंथ टेस्ट हो, या फिर मेंस के फुल लेंथ टेस्ट हो, या फिर मॉक ड्रिल टेस्ट हो, वो सारे कंपोनेंट्स इसके अंदर मौजूद है। तो अगर जो भी इंटरेस्टेड है इस कोर्स को ज्वाइन करने के लिए, वो नीचे दिए हुए लिंक पर क्लिक करके और ज्यादा जानकारी ले सकते। थैंक यू।
So let's start with the next set of topics now. Are we ready to start with the next set of topics? When I say next set of topics, we are now getting into different kind of chapters, which is related to the structure of the government. Till now, we were all talking about the relationship of the state and the citizens, like citizenship, fundamental rights, fundamental duties, right? Now we are going to talk about the organs of the government. So the first chapter I'm going to discuss with you is the union and also the state executive. And in union and state executive also, we will start with the president and governor together. Why we will discuss president and governor together? For two reasons. First is that it will require less time, okay, because otherwise there will be unnecessary repetitions of the same thing. There's no need to do that. Second is, when we'll do a comparison also, there will be more clarity about the position of the two office. Okay, so in fact you can leave 2 pages in your notebook now, because maybe you can add extra something related to fundamental rights also in general. In fact, through questions I will make you add more still, like some of the recent things which have happened, which I have not included, I have left it for the questions to be added afterwards. Okay, like in today the environment question which I gave you, we'll have to write more cases over there, so we will keep adding to it. President and governor. So this is a broad heading. Sometime we will discuss first about president, then about governor. Sometime we will discuss things in parallel, drawing a table, right, doing a comparison. So we will just follow a mixed approach here. So in order to understand the position, okay, and what are we supposed to know about president and governor? Broad headings. What will be the things which we are going to study? First of all, we are going to look at the position. Right? What is their position all about? President, yeah, there are many things, not just one. There are so many things under the position. Then we have to, related to position will also be, because position is such that it requires certain types of qualifications, right? And some conditions also for their office. So qualification plus conditions. Then we will look at the appointment and removal, how they are appointed and how they are removed. In case of president, it is complicated. For governor, there's nothing to be studied here in this case. It's pretty simple. Then after that, we will be talking about the powers and functions, which we will classify into different categories. And here we can mostly be following a tabular, right, comparison when we discuss the power and functions. So these four aspects essentially we'll have to get into. So first, and they are going to take some time, right? How many sessions do we require to complete president and governor? I think today and then 2 more or maybe 3 more sessions would be required. So 3 to 4 sessions may be required to complete this, because I will be discussing some other issues like emergency provisions also as part of this, and also the 5th and the 6th schedule also as part of this. So all this will take 4 sessions overall. So by the end of this week, we will be able to cover the executive, this part, right? President and governor. Okay. So let's start with the position. Position, first we are going to talk about position of president. And when we have to talk about the position of president, then we should understand that in India we have what system? In India we have what type of government? India has a parliamentary form of government, right? And which is, what is the model of government apart from parliamentary system? What is the nature of the executive in India? Cabinet form of government, as we say, or the Westminster model of government. And the Westminster model, what is unique about the parliamentary system and what is unique about the Westminster model? Parliamentary, you know, right? That is fine, that I know that you will answer. What is unique about the Westminster model? Parliament is sovereign? No. I mean, we are not talking about that question. It's not about parliament. Head of state is? Head of state is elected in Westminster model. In which model? No, I'm asking about what is the main feature of the Westminster model. Cabinet form of government. No, not shadow cabinet. Cabinet form of government means that the chief executive is a collective body. Collective body, that means the decision maker is not the main decision maker in India is who? Who's the chief decision maker? Which is the most important position that takes most important decisions in the country. On routine basis, it will be cabinet only, not the prime minister. You have not given all the powers in the hand of the prime minister, otherwise it will become dictatorial. So we have tried to bring in constitutionalism through the concept of cabinet form of government. So the most important decisions are being taken collectively by the cabinet. Okay? Oh, still it is not getting clear to you. This I had explained before. Are we clear about this? What is Westminster? Forget about it now. I will come back to this again. It's not important here, but it's important to at least understand the relationship. Forget about that. Let's see this. What do we say about the position of the president? President is the head of the state. And as head of the state, if say president is the head of the state, what every point you should be able to elaborate. Okay? The best of questions in the main examination should be this only. I don't know when the UPSC will start asking these questions. Like, president is the head of the state, explain. Write 200 words now. Now, you will not be able to write 200 words. So this will show your understanding, your power of elaboration. When you say president is the head of the state, it means what? It means that is the first citizen. Right? He is the first citizen of the country. Head of the state is indicative of like president is the symbol. What type of symbol? A symbol of an honorary symbol that representing state. Why is there so much, you say, pomp and show associated with this office? हाँ, हम तो हेड ऑफ द स्टेट ही लिख रहे हैं ना अभी, इलेक्टेड हेड नहीं लिख रहे. इलेक्टेड हेड तो हम लिखेंगे तो फिर उसमें एक और पॉइंट है वो. There's another point. I will write that also. Yes. You see that president's office has a lot of charisma associated with it or not? Why that charisma? Why are there, these procedures, protocols? Protocols are very important. Because you have lifted that position as a symbol, what people will follow. People should know that there is a head of the state, someone that is, there's an idea of Indian state is represented by the President of India. Idea of Indian state, he is representing, state means representing the idea of Indian state. When you look at the president, you will realize the power of the Indian state. When you look at this office and look at the protocols, right? And the presidents of India, there's so much of dignity associated. And when you are the president of India, then there will be such responsibility of maintaining that dignity also all the time. Head of the state also means what? President as the head of the state is also the elected head of the state. Yes, you can write this point very much. As elected of the head of the state, then he will represent what? He will represent India as a republic. The republican values are inherent in the office of the president. That is also getting reflected from his position. Republic of India, that is Bharat, shall be union of state. And official name of India means what? Where is it written? Republic of India. Republic, but that is what is official. That's questionable. Okay, for what purpose it may be used? Because in the constitution nowhere Republic of India is written. So India shall, that is Bharat shall be union of state. It is union of state rather than Republic of state. So in the constitution the name is India or Bharat. Why? See, this is a matter of values. United Nations also will follow certain values. The modern world will follow certain values. Why it is important to call a country like a democratic Republic of India or Republic of India on any platform? This basically is giving importance to certain values. If India is there and Saudi Arabia is there, and if you call India as a Republic of India, it means you are telling something to Saudi Arabia. Please understand. So the United Nations will always try to strive for certain values, certain modern values which the nation and state should follow. Right? So it becomes important that certain phrases to be used under certain contexts. Okay, as a head of the state also you will write one more point. Can you tell me one more point as a head of the state? Chief of the army, yes. So that is a chief, or he is the Supreme Commander of Armed Forces. Where is it written? President will be Supreme Commander of Armed Forces. Where is it written? Is it written in the Constitution? It is written in the Constitution. In Article 53 itself. Article 53 talks about that President is the executive power of the Union shall be vested in the President. And Article 53 mentions one of the functions of the President there specifically, which is that the President will act as a Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. All these points you will write when you talk about President as the head of the state. Yeah, that point I will write as second point. He is the President is the, so all these points are telling us about the position of the President. Okay. Nominal, President is the nominal executive head. Why is he nominal executive head? Because we have a parliamentary form of government. In the parliamentary form of government, there will be two executive heads, one nominal, other one is real. In a parliamentary system, real power vests in the Prime Minister, who is responsible to the legislature. This is what, no, that that person should have real powers, who is responsible to the parliament, because that is what makes India a parliamentary democracy. So you will not give the powers in the hands of the president, because president otherwise is not directly responsible to the legislature. Okay, so nominal executive head, you can even say that he is the formal, he can be head of the government, but what head of the government? You can also nominal head of the government. So he can also be called as nominal head of the government or nominal head of the executive. Okay, next point, done with this. More points. We are just still following the explaining the position of the president. Next point we will write is that president is this is something which may not be written in the books as such, but still I consider this to be an important point how you can explain the position of president, and that is president acts as a linking pin between blank and blank. Would you like to fill this up? पार्लियामेंट एंड जुडिशरी में क्या लिंकिंग पिन कर रहे हो? मिनिस्टर एंड पीएम. Everything between minister and PM is not done through the president. Only one point is there. We can't. Center and state. No. He is a linking pin between the constitution and organs of the government. This can be a question. Now explain it. Can you explain it? Linking pin का मतलब क्या है? The pin that links. Link है. Is a link. President links the parliament with the constitution. How president links parliament with the constitution? Because every law that parliament passes is assented by the president. President will check it whether it is according to the constitution or not. Work of the parliament is tested by the president whether it is according to constitution or not. Isn't it? Then executive, president is appointing the prime minister. So the entire executive, and he is the nominal head of the executive also. So by virtue of being the nominal head of the executive, the president needs to be informed what is going on in the government all the time. This is a duty of the prime minister, to inform the president all the time what's going on in the government. And everything is happening in the name of the president. Right? So president is also representing the executive. President has taken some oath also. We will see that, which will also tell us about the president, office of the president. So when you say linking pin, I will say constitution, right? Then we have a president, and president is linking the constitution with legislature, with executive, and with the judiciary. Who's appointing the judges? President of India. Forget about who has the real power. President formally appoints the judges. That's a linking pin. And the judiciary is doing what? Judiciary has to protect, has to work according to the constitution. It is interpreting the constitution. And the oath of the president will make this further clear. Why president is so strongly connected with the constitution? Because president's oath is to preserve, protect and defend the constitution of India. This is the oath of the president. Have you got the point? So either within this point, but I will write another point here. One more point which tells us about the position of the president is that president is the protector, preserver and defender of the constitution. Now, if he has to protect, preserve and defend the constitution, then he is acting as a linking pin between the constitution and ensuring that all the organs of the government, are they following the constitution or not? Whose duty is it to check? President's duty it is to check. President may not be able to do much. With respect to judiciary, he will be absolutely helpless. He can't do anything. President will not be able to do anything with respect to judiciary. He will be able to do with respect to legislature, yes, because law he may not sign. Now, those positions also need to be seen in detail to understand really what the situation is like. To what extent can he differ from the advices which are coming from the Council of Ministers? To what extent does he actually have any veto power, or he doesn't have any veto power? That is to be seen. But here the idea is that he will act as a linking pin between the constitution and the organs of the government. He is the only linking pin. There's no other linking pin. Even for that matter, when you talk about even the independent agencies like Election Commission, CAG, UPSC, they will also be seen as bodies established under the constitution working under the president. Some of them may be working under the executive also, but they are largely working under the president. Okay. Protector, defender, please open to article. Which article includes the oath of the president? 660 you will remember for oath of the president. Right? Open to 60. It's very important. Oaths are very, very important. This will tell you the position in reality. Look at the keywords there. What oath has he taken? These three words are there, no? What I have already written. Protect, preserve and defend. Underline those three words. What is he protecting? Constitution and something more. Laws also. Laws as well. There is one more keyword. Well-being. So president is also looking after the well-being of the people. So what is inherent? What can we say? President is also, president represents the idea of what state? Welfare state also. This can be, we can write like this, because the oath is talking about the well-being. Oh, this is so important. No other oath could have been a better oath than this one, because it encompasses almost all the aspects. What is expected of the president? Why? Why do you have to take the oath of the constitution? What oath you take of what? If you are supposed to take any oath, what oath you take? Higher, right? Sometime you can take the oath of your parents also, if they are important, isn't it? Oath is something which is your own conscience. You have to reaffirm your own conscience, and you will reaffirm your conscience towards something which is pure and which is important for you, right? So you can take the oath of something which may be bigger than the constitution also. Who's stopping you? So there should be freedom. It's a matter of your conscience. So no one should be bound to take the oath of the constitution. आप constitution का oath लोगे झूठ बोलोगे तो constitution खराब होगा. You should take the oath of something which you can follow. So there should be, there's what word? Solemnly affirm, right? And that is a very general term. And the option of God is also given there. Why the option of God is given there? Because we are positive, secular country. Right? You got the point. Why should it be constitution? Why should you take the oath of the constitution? Should we take the oath of the constitution? Why it will increase? It will reduce constitutionalism. If you will take the oath of the constitution, it is going to reduce constitutionalism, because it is reducing your freedom. your liberty. Constitutionalism, it increases the liberty for the individuals. We are not forcing, we have given them the option. What is the other? Why are you saying God only? What is the other term? Then what? Solemnly, who stopped you to solemnly affirm in your mind? You can quietly solemnly affirm in the name of the Constitution also. Who has stopped you? Right? But you can solemnly affirm in the name of something which you have belief in. Right? सारे मेंबर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट ने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पढ़ा भी नहीं होगा और अब जाके ओथ लेंगे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का. राइट? So you, whatever you are clear about, whatever you have firm belief in, उसी का तो आप oath लोगे ना. It could be your religion, it could be your God, it could be your any authority which you believe in or you have faith in. Right? What is the purpose of oath? That is what you have to see. Okay. Anyhow, this is an irrelevant discussion, not very important. Yes, but still we get to learn something out of this also. Not totally relevant. What else can we write about the position of the president? Apart from this, president is part of the legislature. Yes, part of the parliament लिख देते हैं. He is part of the parliament. And he is part of the parliament for this reason. We पहले ही लिख चुके हैं, linking pin between constitution and the legislature. He is the one who's summoning or proroguing the house, calling the session of the house is done by the president only. Right? The real powers may not be with the president. Everything is done in the name of the president. Then we can say that president is also represents the idea of federalism. Is he representing the idea of federalism or not? How the president is representing the idea of federalism? Because he is elected by, correct? Elected by MPs also and MLAs also, because MLAs from the state are participating in the election of the president. This was a very unique formula which was designed by Ambedkar and Nehru related to the election to the president. MLA and MP both should, so that now the office of president becomes even more powerful. You remember I had given you a statement when we were discussing India as a union. I had given you a statement of an organic whole. Do you remember that statement? We said that it is not the people but also the state. So here when you say that he is representing the members of parliament and representing MLAs, means he is representing India overall and he is representing all the states also. Right? So this is all there in the office of the president. And being the protector, so you see everywhere, constitution, this value is there of the union and of the states. In the office of the president also, this value is there of the union and of the state. Okay, so that is it. This much we can say about the office of the president. Are we clear? The position of the president. Now we will look into the when we say that here, as we have written it, wait, sorry, nominal executive head, this needs explanation. This needs explanation. How is the president the nominal executive head? So there are two things we need to understand, and this is important, and this will further clarify the position of the president. President is nominal executive head. So for this, we are going to look at different provisions in the constitution to better understand the position of the president. Article 53, it says that the executive power of the union shall be vested in the president. So executive power of union vested in president. Right? What is also given in Article 53? I have just told you before. What is in the executive power? One of the power which is written in Article 53 itself is that he will act as a supreme commander of the armed forces. You open 53 and check it. See Article 53. And then we also need to know what do we mean by executive power. And then we should also know what all is executive power. Now everything is not given in 53. 53 it is given that the executive power of the union shall be vested in the president, and one of the power is what? Is it written there? Supreme Commander of Armed Forces. That's the only power or function which is mentioned in Article 53. Nothing else. Forget about the rest of the clause. Not important. Now we are interested in looking at what are the executive power of the union. Where is that given? Where is the, you understand the legislative power? What do you mean by legislative power? Power to make law. I'm not talking about legislative power of the president. I'm just saying in general what do we mean by legislative power is a power of making law. And what is executive power? Power of implementing law. But I had told you something more. You remember I had done a brief discussion earlier right in the beginning itself that executive includes two types of executive, political executive and permanent executive. I had made it clear that legislature makes the law and political permanent executive implements the law under the control of the political executive. Then we had said that political executive makes policy with the help of permanent executive, and permanent executive implements policies under the control of political executive. We have written all these points, right? From there we get an idea about what all is executive. Executive power is a very broad set of power. It includes implementation power. Execute itself means implementation. Execute means what? Implement. Implementation of laws and policies. But executive power will also include policy making powers. Executive power will also include taking other decisions also. Routine decisions, day-to-day decision also. Day-to-day decision is not a policy decision, right? Something that has come up today and the government is deciding something to do, that may be the routine decision. This is also the executive power. In fact, it has been ruled also by the Supreme Court that executive power is equal to the residual power that is left after removing the legislative and the judicial powers, right? So executive power we can define another way. Executive power can be defined is equal to all power minus legislative power plus judicial power. This is another way of defining executive power. Don't write below this if you have, because I'm going to draw a structure over here. So if you have written below this, write this again, because we are going to draw a structure. Okay, now legislative power of the union government is given where? Legislative power of the union government is given where? In which article the legislative power of the union is given? 246, right? The three lists: legislative power of union and the state list, union list, and the concurrent list. Now where the executive power of the union is given? I have used this article before also. Where have I used this article? I had used this article when I was telling you that those areas which of constitution amendment which requires ratification by the states. So executive power of the union is given in Article 73. Article 73. 73 is the heading is extent of the executive power. Extent of the executive power. So if you know that executive power of the union is exercised by the president, then you have to know what all is the executive power of the union. So executive power of the union is given where? In Article 73. And Article 73 says that wherever union has the power of making law, it also has the power of executing law. Have you got the point? Wherever it has the power of making law, it also has the power of executing law. This is written in Article 73. So executive power of the union government is given where? It is given in 246 and 73, both read together, no? Because 73 is saying wherever he has legislative, wherever union has legislative power, it also has executive power. So you need to know what is the legislative power of the union, which is given in 246. Open 73. There are hundreds of ways in which UPSC can trouble you. Just read the first clause, what it says. Right? What I said, more or less that is written. But then afterwards it is also written there, it will also have executive power wherever union government has signed some international agreement. When the union government will sign any international agreement, it automatically gets the executive power to implement it, irrespective of the fact whether it has legislative power in those areas or not. This should be there or not? Just think by yourself. Union government should have this power or not, that it can enter into any agreement with any other country and get it implemented. It is, of course, it is an external affairs matter. Is this provision going against the federal spirit of the constitution? Like, this provision may not be liked by Mamata Banerjee or maybe some other chief ministers, because you are entering into an agreement with a foreign country and then you will implement something which is in the state list also. But it is possible. Getting the point? Executive power of the union is coextensive with, executive power is what? Coextensive. This is another way of expressing coextensive with legislative power. Can we say that? This is written in Article 73 only, no? In brief, if I have to write, I'll write like this. Executive power is coextensive with legislative power. It means that wherever union has legislative power, there it also has executive power. But along with that, plus, there's a power also with respect to what? Plus with respect to international agreement. International agreement. This is even more complicated, but we will not get into further complication for now. We are just to become more familiar with these aspects of legislative power and the executive power. Now, President of India, imagine how much of work is to be done by the President of India. President of India has to do everything. all the executive power of the union government is to be exercised by the president. Now, can president do all this by himself? No. So what will happen? What should he do? Huh? He needs what? Subordinates. And what will he do to the subordinates? He will delegate his power to the subordinates. So this delegation should also be written there. So below this, there is one more article. Article, you already know this article. I have discussed this. Business. Have you ever talked about business? Convenient transaction of business? Do you remember portfolio system? When was it introduced? Portfolio system was introduced in 1861 Act. But I had told you that Lord Canning had already introduced it before by passing an order, and then it was given a legal recognition by 1861 Act. And what happened by the portfolio system? Assigning of departments, duties and responsibility. Why? Because otherwise the Governor General himself cannot do everything. So for convenient transaction of business, there can be delegation of power. And this provision from the 1861 Act has been taken up in all subsequent acts, and finally it has landed into Article 77 of the Constitution. Article 77 is very important, even more important than 53 and 73. President shall make rules for the convenient transaction of the business of Government of India. I had told you how to remember this also. Business has double S, right? Business has double S. 77 is double S. And for in case of governor also, it is 166 luckily. So there also it is double S. 166. So governor will make rules for convenient transaction of the government of the state. President will make rules for the convenient transaction of the business of the union government. And by this rule, what he does? What will he do by this rule? Please write here. Please write by the side of 77. Rules for convenient transaction of business. Rules for convenient transaction of business. Yes, within bracket you write better. Below Article 77, rules for convenient transaction of business. Or for, in simpler terms you can say, or for delegation. Delegation. Or for delegation. So whatever he has to do himself, he is not doing everything by himself, rather he has delegated the power and authority. So first, to whom he delegates? President will first delegate to the Council of Ministers, Prime Minister and all the ministers, and then ministers will further delegate to the secretaries, secretaries to further secretaries, to further lower level secretaries and staff. So the entire power and authority is flowing this way. The entire administration of Union Government of India, it comes out of Article 77. Through these rules which have been made under Article 70. And I'll tell you about these rules. These are some of the most important rules that are made in India, made by the Cabinet Secretariat. We will talk about this when we will discuss the powers and functions. We will look into details. Have you got the point what is happening? Whatever is the executive power of the union will be exercised by the president. What all is the executive power? Quite wide. It includes almost everything wherever he is making the law, plus even implementing the international agreements. And if this becomes such a huge scope of the executive power, president needs to delegate. How he delegates? By making rules under Article 77. He delegates the power to the officials below, first to the political and then to the other set of officials. Have you got the point? So Article 77 is very important. Please open to 77. 77 is very important. '77 is also important because what is inherent in Article 77 is a portfolio system. Because through these rules only you are allocating the business among the ministers. Right? In the What? President? Executive action will be taken in the name of the president. Yes. Article 77 में what is written? Is president making rules or not? Is it written? No. Yes. Shall make rules. Third clause में. Yes. Last clause. Third clause में just see the last clause. 77 clause 3. Right? And this third clause is important. Why? There only you can write within bracket portfolio system. Portfolio system is inherent. This question can come. Portfolio system is inherent in which of the following provisions? Article 77. Two set of rules have been made under this. We will talk about these rules afterwards. Okay, now look at further. Whatever president is exercising, whatever executive power the president is exercising, there is another article which is subjected to this article. Article 74. Article 74 is saying that there shall be a council of ministers to aid and advise the president, and president has to consider such an advice, but he can send it once for reconsideration. So council of ministry to aid and advise the president. This makes the president what? This article 74 is making the president what? A nominal executive head, because president has to follow what the council of ministers will tell him. The real power is with the council of ministry, and president only has nominal power. We have to see this in more detail. In another framework we will discuss that. First we'll complete this framework. This way if we discuss, we remember many articles together because of the linkages. Right? And whatever advice is given to the president, president will blindfoldedly not follow that advice. He will look into the advice. If it doesn't look fine according to him, then he may send the advice once back for reconsideration. Right now the status is this only. Earlier nothing was mentioned. We will see that. That's why I said we require another framework to understand these changing positions. So on what basis will he send it for reconsideration? On what basis will the president send the advice for reconsideration? Constitution, right? Or maybe the laws also, because president has taken the oath to Article 60, right? So this advice will be verified on the basis of Article 60, because he has taken the oath to preserve, protect and defend the constitution and the laws. So advice should also be according to that. And if the president is failing to protect the constitution, then he can be impeached, right? So 61 will lead to, if not followed, will lead to impeachment. This is how you can remember the articles, right? That we need to look in more detail in another framework. The status is that whatever advice is tendered to the president can send it once for reconsideration. If the same advice is tendered again, then he has to do it. Then he can't say no. What? We will see that. We will see. Or you will get your answers. अरे एक बार ही उसने रिकंसिडर करने के लिए भेज दिया तो वो बहुत बड़ी बात हो जाती है ना. दिस इज अ बिग सिग्नल आउटसाइड. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मीडिया, public opinion will get generated. Parliament mein the government will be questioned. What advice are you people giving that president is returning your advice? The returning of advice is going to create a huge debate. That is the purpose, is to generate debate against the Council of Ministers. So there is a lot of power in reconsideration. This we are clear, this much, everyone. If you are clear, we will move ahead. If not, we can repeat quickly. Tell me. Clear? Repeat quickly. Okay. So what we are saying is that we are looking at the position of the president. We are saying that president has, don't look at the diagram, just listen to me and then afterwards you look at it. Try to understand in different way. Constitution is saying that the entire power, the executive power, whatever is to be exercised by the union is done in the name of the president. Right? Now when we are looking at this, we should find out what all are the executive power of the union government. What all is to be done by the president. So it is done by the president is given in 53. Then what all are the executive power is given in 73. What is written in 73? That wherever the union has legislative power, it also has executive power. Plus, it also has the executive power to execute what? International agreements, treaties, whatever. So these are the executive power which is to be taken care of by the president, which is, the extent is quite big, scope is quite big, and therefore the president needs to delegate all this work to the officers below. That's very obvious. I mean, I should not even say this. So how he delegates to the officers is given in Article 77. He will make rules for the convenient transaction of the business, and for convenient transaction of the business, he is delegating through these rules to the ministers and subsequently to other officers. That is 77. Then we said that whatever president is doing, whatever power is exercised by the president, here in this case we are looking at the executive power only. This power is exercised not all by himself, rather he is, because it is written there that it is exercised in the name of the president. That means the real power is where? With the Council of Ministers. Whatever he is doing on the advice of the Council of Ministers. So under 74 it is written that there shall be a Council of Ministers to aid and advise the president. Right? Now it is also written in 74 that when such an advice is given, then the president can return that advice once back for reconsideration. But if the same advice is given again, then the president has to follow it. Okay? President has to follow it then. He can't do anything. The only thing he can do one more thing. He can resign. Yeah, and tell the people that this is why I'm resigning. And this itself will be huge. Right? It is going to create a furor in the entire society. The president is resigning because the advice is not acceptable. Rather, before that, the opposition members in the parliament will make the prime minister himself resign before this will happen. Okay. And the advice which he is sending back for reconsideration will be done on what basis? On what basis he will check whether the advice is correct or not? On the basis of constitution and the laws, of which he has taken the oath. So because he has taken the oath, he should check the advice also. And if he is failing to protect the constitution, then he can be impeached. Or another thing is that he can also resign. So we are clear with this framework. What articles? You remember the article 53, 73, 77, 160, 74 is related to 53 and 60 and 61. So at least how many? 6 articles we have remembered here. If you remember these 6, you will also remember the 6 articles of governor also. Because in governor's case also the similar relationship is there with some difference, but which we have to see. We need to understand a little more with respect to this article 74. Please open to Article 74 now. Mark 74 and 77 as very, very important. 74 and 77 as very, very important. Okay. Any question? Not many questions are coming. 74 में amendments हुए हैं. Please notice it. कब हुए? 42nd and 44th amendment. क्या amendment हुए ये भी देख लो. इसमें क्या बोल रही है कि if the picture is getting clear, I'm not very sure. Before the 42nd Amendment Act, situation was different. Situation was what? Before the 42nd Amendment Act, what was written there was that there shall be a council of minister with the prime minister at its head that shall aid and advise the president. बस इतना लिखा था उधर. That means advice was not binding. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was giving a lecture in the Law Institute in Ahmedabad. And it's a very famous speech where he talks about an active president. He was exploring the possibility of president being the real executive head. And he will refer to Article 74, that in Article 74, nothing of this sort is written that the advice of the Council of Ministers is a binding on the president. Right? But this assertion was useless. It doesn't mean anything. Why? Meaningless assertion by the then president. Why? One word answer. अमेंडमेंट तो बाद में आया ना, उस पर तो उस समय नहीं था ना, ये प्रोविजन था ही नहीं कि एडवाइस बाइंडिंग होगा. इमरजेंसी क्यों नहीं? तो पहले तो नहीं था ना कुछ. पहले प्रोविजन में क्या लिखा था? कुछ भी नहीं लिखा था कि बाइंडिंग है. ओके, ओपन आर्टिकल 163. Just read the initial part of Article 163. The same provision with respect to governor. It's a counterpart of Article 74 for governor. Article 163. क्या लिखा है उधर? Aid and advice, right? There shall be a council of minister with chief minister as head to aid and advise the governor where he is not acting according to his discretion or what has been called as discretion in the constitution. ये लिखा है ना उधर. यहां पे बाइंडिंग है? यहां पे कोई अमेंडमेंट हुआ है? इसमें अमेंडमेंट भी नहीं हुआ. इसका मतलब चीफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का एडवाइस गवर्नर के ऊपर बाइंडिंग नहीं है. मतलब प्रोविजन तो यही है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में. But this is the difference between the words and the spirit. वर्ड में जो भी लिखा हो, वर्ड में ये लिखा है कि देयर शैल बी अ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री टू एड एंड एडवाइज द प्रेसिडेंट. बस उतना लिख के छोड़ दिया उन्होंने. ये नहीं बताया पहले कि वो बाइंडिंग है कि नहीं है. ये नहीं लिखा उधर. बट people should understand that India is a parliamentary system. And in the parliamentary system, the real power will be with whom? With the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Because they are the ones who are responsible to the legislature. President is not responsible to the legislature, so the real power of the government will not be there with the president. The omission, the very fact that nothing is written over there simply means that president shall act according to the advice of the Council of, whether it is written or unwritten. The very fact that India is a parliamentary system itself is telling us that president is a nominal executive head and the real power should be exercised by the Council of Ministers. क्यों लिखना है उधर? अगर आपने उधर लिख दिया president will be bound by the advice, are you not lowering the dignity of the office of the president? No need of doing that. After all, the president of India Someone who's taking the oath of the constitution, he himself would know what the constitution is all about. And he will know that India is a parliamentary system. Then he will know also that I am supposed to listen to what the Council of Ministry is telling me. I should follow it. I should not question it. Have you got the point? Constitution makers ने तो नहीं लिखा उधर binding. इसलिए नहीं लिखा क्योंकि they knew and they also assumed that the one who will become the president would also know that India is a parliamentary system in which president is a nominal executive head. तो ये तो कन्वेंशन हो गया ना, इसको लिखने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. बट 1976 में 42nd अमेंडमेंट एक्ट ला करके इंदिरा गांधी ने क्या किया, उधर लिख दिया प्रेसिडेंट इज बाउंड बाय सच एन एडवाइस. रिकंसिडरेशन भी नहीं था पहले, रिकंसिडरेशन भी नहीं लिखा था. रिकंसिडरेशन तो 44th अमेंडमेंट एक्ट के बाद आया है. So whatever was implicit has been made explicit. Whatever was implicit has been made explicit. Whatever was in spirit has been given the word. Whatever was in letters, whatever was in spirit has been given letters. Have you got the point? So is it justified to bring this amendment and writing that president is bound by the advice? No. Why? Because it lowers down the dignity of the office of the president. Because it goes against the wisdom of the constitution makers also. When the constitution makers were okay with this idea, there's no need of writing these things, these words there's no need. Right? But when the Janata government comes to power in 1978, they bring 44th Amendment Act, they have added reconsideration to it. And reconsideration only once. Right? What do you think? Is it fine? Looks fine? Better than earlier? Okay. अच्छा, पहले रिकंसिडरेशन के लिए भेज सकता था कि नहीं? पहले मतलब बिफोर 76 was reconsideration possible or not? Possible. बट प्रेसिडेंट को कैसे पता चलेगा कि मैं ये भी कर सकता हूं? प्रेसिडेंट को ये पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि वो रिकंसिडरेशन के लिए भेज सकता है. अभी तो क्लियर क्लू मिल रहा है, अभी तो कर सकता है. तब ये क्लू ही नहीं मिलेगा कि ये भी पॉसिबिलिटी है कि रिकंसिडरेशन के लिए भी भेज सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो आई थिंक रिकंसिडरेशन में भी इज अ गुड थिंग. इट्स अनदर चेक एंड बैलेंस व्हिच हैज बीन क्रिएटेड दिस एडिशन ऑफ. सो अंडर द गार्ब ऑफ व्हाटएवर unrequired things that may have happened in between, ultimately we got something good here in the form of reconsideration for the president. So let us write this. Let us write this position, make it clear. We'll just draw one framework here. Okay, what is before 19? This is 42nd Amendment Act 1976, and this is 44th Amendment Act 1978. So position before this, we are looking only with respect to Article 74 here. What is the position here? Advice was not mentioned as a binding. Right? This is what I'm writing. I'm not saying that advice was not binding. I'm just saying advice was not mentioned as a binding. Why it was not mentioned as a binding? To maintain the dignity of the the dignity of the great office. And one more reason you can give. What else can I write here? Anyone? It is understood, yes, but we'll not write that understood. We'll write something better expression for that. Understood, but you can write the further explanation. Why? What? Is bound, because what Indira Gandhi wanted to concentrate all the power in her hand. She doesn't want to judiciary question her. She never wanted the president to question her. Right? She never wanted, because also, see, understand, those who were becoming presidents then, these people were very upright kind of people. Okay. 1969 elections. I told you something about 1969 elections, no? I did mention something, no? No. Okay, we will talk about it when we'll discuss president's election. So Mr. V.V. Giri became the president. He was an unofficial candidate of the Congress party. With the support of Indira Gandhi, he became the president. But V.V. Giri, don't forget that he himself had been from the freedom struggle times, who was a trade union leader, who will not listen to anything what Indira Gandhi would have to. So if such a presidents were there, she had seen such, upright presidents there in power. And if such presidents would come to power again, or maybe someone whom she herself supported becoming the president later on become upright and try to undo what the government is willing to do, then what will happen? All her cart will get upset. So she wanted to ensure that no one comes in our path of implementation of policies and programs. Indira Gandhi was too much committed to bring about a very fast change. This is what she had been asserting in all her speeches, but the problem is that the ways and means were not correct. Right? Ways she should have been more considerate with respect to checks and balances, constitutionalism and democracy. Have you got the point? Why she has done so? Because she is going ahead with, and she also had the mandate, no. First of all, she brings in the Garibi Hatao plank on which she gets the vote. She got a huge majority. She knows that people are behind her. People want change. People are behind her. She can do whatever she can. And this gave her a overconfidence, which has gone against the institutional proprieties also. Something similar what may be happening even today. Something similar. Right? So that's how it is happening. So what we'll write here, whatever was, it was seen implicit. Implicit in what? Implicit in the conventions of the parliamentary system. Seen implicit in the conventions of the, it was seen implicit in the conventions, it was seen implicit in the conventions of the parliamentary system. Now what was done? Advice was made binding, right? So whatever was implicit made explicit. But you know what? It has done more harm than just this. It has reduced the possibility of checks and balances also. Right? Because earlier it was possible that president could have deferred. Now there is no possibility. No possibility of president's check over Council of Ministers. So this has taken away constitutionalism or not? It brings down the constitutionalism, the checks and balances. ये 42nd अमेंडमेंट एक्ट क्या सकती थी? उनको पता है कि ये पार्लियामेंट ने किया है, तो until unless it's अगर बोल भी देंगे तो क्या होगा, फिर से कर देंगे वो. लेकिन जुडिशरी भी तभी काम करेगी, उसको पता है कि जुडिशरी को भी अपने डिसीजन की डिग्निटी का थोड़ा सा ये ना, it will think about its own dignity. जुडिशरी विल डू इट व्हेन इट विल गेट टू नो कि अच्छा अब इनकी सिचुएशन नहीं रह गई कि वापस से फिर से अमेंडमेंट कर सके। लेकिन जुडिशरी को करना ही नहीं पड़ा ना, क्योंकि यहीं आते ही जनता गवर्नमेंट ने कर दिया, जुडिशरी को करना ही नहीं पड़ा। अगर यहाँ पे जनता गवर्नमेंट नहीं करती और जनता गवर्नमेंट पावर में आ जाती, जुडिशरी वुड हैव स्ट्रक इट डाउन। आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? इसके पहले 75 में जुडिशरी क्यों स्ट्रक डाउन करेगी? जुडिशरी क्यों? पहली बात तो ये है कि कोई भी केस में टाइम लगता है, ठीक है। अभी केसेस चल ही रहे हैं, जो भी इसको क्वेश्चन हुआ ये केस चल ही रहे थे ना। उसके पहले ही जब ये आ गया चेंज, तो उसके बाद उसका कोई यूज ही नहीं रह गया ना कि जुडिशरी स्ट्रक डाउन करे, बिकॉज दिस हैपेंड विद इन 2 years itself, no, very fast. Okay, so this we have got, and after that what happened? There is a provision of reconsideration included. So what is the importance of reconsideration? Can we write down the importance of reconsideration? Significance of reconsideration. Significance of reconsideration, first of all, checks and balance. Restores dignity to some extent, but not the entire dignity. Restores dignity. Then reconsideration has a lot of political value, right? Carries political value of generating public opinion. When we say public opinion, this is again a very broad term. Will it generate public opinion? Now here you will talk about the role of media, the role of the active citizenry, role of the opposition parties, parliament also, what will happen in the parliament. Everywhere the government is going to be questioned. The moment president will send a reconsideration, the advice for reconsideration, it is going to be published, right? People will get to know, public opinion will get generated, government would be pressurized to accept what the president is trying to say. When the Office of Profit bill reached to President Kalam, right? Then President Kalam refused to sign the bill. And the government accepted that. Now the question is, there's a lot of complexity over here and people generally do not get into this or understand this, that there is a word reconsideration used in Article 74, which is what? Reconsideration of, this is reconsideration of what? Reconsideration of the advice. And then there is another article 111, which I told you. What is that? I told you how to remember also. Bill to be assented by the president, right? So when the bill comes to the president for assent, there also the president has an option of sending it for reconsideration. Sending the bill for reconsideration and sending the advice for reconsideration are two different things, right? And the president sends the bill for reconsideration where? Bill is being sent for reconsideration under Article 101 back to the Parliament. Parliament will reconsider it. Advice has been sent to reconsideration to the Council of Ministers. They are two different things. Please understand.